Hello, Boris Pravisham here. I've been meaning to upload the various ships I've created over the past month to YouTube, but every one of them I've built so far hasn't really been up to my own standards, or an update breaks them, or it has rendered them obsolete or something. All it takes is sort of one quick browse of the Steam Workshop to feel nothing I could ever do could be anywhere near as good as the sort of stuff that appears there. So I kind of go off the idea and think everything needs to be perfect, but I'm taking the leap and uploading this no matter what it turns out like. It's hopefully going to be a small supply and repair vessel. It's incomplete at the moment, but this is where all the equipment and tools required for relatively small jobs can be housed and used to, say, repair a small fighter vessel or a mining ship, which can be docked and repaired within this ship. It's a mobile repair unit with plenty of space for supplies, in other words. I don't know how everyone else does it, but when I build a ship in this vein, I start with the working parts, for example, making sure all of the mechanical bits required to fulfill the actual function of the ship are in place. So in this case, I made sure the conveyor system was designed and in working order before I built the next layer, the interior, which is what you see here. After this, I will then build the exterior around this, which includes all of the thrusters and so on. Just keep in mind that this is being built in creative, so it's a mixture between just simply being creative and building to my heart's content and trying to keep it realistic, something that could be used and built in survival. Of course, though, if I was building this in survival, then some parts of this I wouldn't build, but I'm embellishing them mostly for aesthetic effect. What I'm saying is that you could pare this down to its basics and probably make use of it in survival, but mostly this is just for fun, and in the hope that in future making larger and more complex designs might be more feasible in survival. Not that this is complex, but it's more than what I'm guessing the majority of Space Engineers players would have the patience for. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'll take you through what I've got so far, then see if anybody has any suggestions before I finish the final step, the exterior. I think 2 shorter videos showing first the inner workings of the ship before showing off the final result might make for better viewing, but if not, let me know. I, at least, like the idea of telling the story of something being built rather than just seeing it completed, but that might just be me. So this is the rear of the ship, the single docking/repair bay. On the floor here are landing gear to hold down whatever comes in and needs it. I was also considering having a scrapping system in here using the ship grinders, as I think this would also be good for salvaging. You know, you find something, park it in here and grind it down, but I wasn't sure the best way to do that mechanically without this getting too big. I wanted to keep it small and simple. Remember here, though, that everything is up for debate and suggestions to improve it will be considered, so if you think a scrapping system is worth it, then say so. I have 2 collectors on either side here and a cargo container. I'm not entirely sure what to do with them. I think it would be good to have the collectors here, so you could just throw what you don't need out of your inventory into them and fill it back up by accessing the cargo containers here, which is connected to everything else on the ship, so you could pull through what you need without having to walk far. I probably only need them on one side, so I'll clean that up when I get to the final stages. I'm also... Whoops. I might need to fix that. But yeah, I'm also not sure on the size of this bay on the whole, but I think at the moment this allows a pretty reasonable sized ship to fit in and be repaired and maintained in relative security. Back over here are 2 refineries, and on the other side are 4 assemblers, which may be too many, but like I said before, this can all be reduced down to the bare requirements. Then back further are 6 large containers. I thought about hiding them all away like I have with the engine room below, and then accessing them through the conveyor system, but it took up too much room, and I think this looks better, especially if you imagine this all painted up and finished. This is the storage for all of the systems on the ship, so the reactors will draw uranium from these, as well as those refineries and assemblers and anything else you need. This is probably too much storage, but sue me, I like the look of it. Then up here we have access to the bridge and maintenance rooms. These side doors go to the workings behind all of this, as well as to the engine room. Let's have a look at the conveyors over here. This is all pretty simple. It's just connecting everything up in the ship so that they can all pull from one another. Out there is the docking bay, and you can see that was the cargo container I showed before, which is connected up to the refinery. And then, where are we? Down over here. That connects down into the engine room, and over to here beneath this conveyor here. If you remember from earlier when I looked under the ship, that's the one that extends over to the other side, which looks much the same as this except with those 4 assemblers. So now if we go back, we can have a look at the engine room, which is down over here. And this stairwell also leads to the other side, so you can access it over there as well. In here are 2 reactors, which is what I approximate will easily service the entire ship when it's done, but like everything else, this is modular, so it can be reduced or expanded where necessary without affecting too much else. As you can see, they're also fed from the same conveyor system as above, and you can also access down here if you need to repair or maintain whatever is needed. Those conveyor systems, I can probably take one side off now that I think about it. I don't need both being symmetrical. But anyway, we'll go back up to where the bridge will probably be. I fancy myself at building appealing looking bridges, so I'm hoping this turns out well. It's out here. It's not finished yet. As I said, this is where it will probably be. I've also got access up the side here, which I'm not sure if I will keep or not. I was thinking about putting the bridge up the top above this, but I think it might ruin the look of the ship, and I had a bit of trouble trying to fit it all in. For now, these paths just lead to 2 empty passageways and to these viewing platforms over the docking bay itself. This is why I like the idea of having the bridge room up here, so you could both pilot and see what was happening in the back, but I don't think that'll be possible. I might still leave this room up here for the heck of it, though. I like the idea of looking down on the workspace. But yes, a bridge should be down there, and will probably be rounded with windows looking to the outside, although it's only going to be a small wraparound window. I'm not that much of a fan of those all-glass control rooms that you see. But the next step now is to build around it. The interior will sort of act as a second layer of armor, which I think is important for the large amount of materials that this ship can carry, making it quite an important ship. Plus, it doesn't really need to be fast or economical, just sturdy and reliable. I'm thinking of having 2 thruster pods on either side of the back over here, providing forward thrust and allowing for rear access between the 2 of them. Get your mind out of the gutter, please. The majority of the backward thrust will be from underneath the bridge at the front, I think, and the rest will... I'll just make that up as I go along. I'll also try a few different ideas with the back, with that access there, with different doors and that sort of thing. I'm not sure what I'll put there yet, but I'm usually terrible at building the back of ships, so hopefully having the door there will mean that I'll have to not do as much. Let me know if you have any suggestions, and if I like them, I'll use them when I complete this. Also, let me know if you don't like this style of video. Maybe you prefer that I just build something to completion before showing it off with a more professional video than this. Or maybe you prefer a series of short videos every day of the week detailing each step I make. That is, if anyone both watches this and comments anyway, but if you have, thanks for watching, and goodbye.